I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. Fire in the veins, I fight to gain, breaking all the rules to keep me sane. Living the moment till I die. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. No matter how hard we try.
Evening everyone, and welcome back to the English Shooting live stream. I'm joined as always now, it seems to be the regular thing, with Connors. Very happy. This is his happy face.
I'm here for the free Pepsi.
If you could see what was going under the table, you'd understand why it's his happy face. And of course, Mr. Paul Wyborn, actionaire extraordinaire.
Evening all.
What?
I said evening all.
That's him trying to use his low voice to sound really cool.
Yeah, I'm not a child.
Man.
Man.
I'm not a child.
Are you old enough to drive yet?
Well, I noticed you got a little bit of...
My car is directly in front of you.
Yeah, but they can't see that. You could be like, got
one! You are starting to grow a little bit of a moustache. Is
Yeah,
that on purpose?
I need to shave again.
Okay.
It's a little bit
What
of
is that,
fluff.
your monthly shave?
That's not a moustache.
Weekly shave.
So
I remember when I was his age, I was shaving in the morning, I'd shave it again in the afternoon.
you came out with a beard.
Oh, yeah. I just
So
decided to stop shaving around the age of 6.
6, and it's just been growing longer ever since.
No, I shaved this morning.
Shave this. Where? So it's the usual deal. It is an interactive live stream. Any comments?
Is it?
Usually.
Normally you just sit here and talk constantly.
Well, if they've got nothing interesting to say, then I just fill the silence.
Well, it's the audience, they've never got anything interesting to say.
No, because we're always right.
Unless Kevin's here, I can argue with him again.
There was a lot of people you were arguing with last
No,
week.
just
It was
Kevin.
mainly Kevin.
So, standard
Kevin.
format, get involved. Any topics or discussions you want to have, any thoughts you want to drop into the comment section, it's all welcomed. Any questions as well, if you're looking to get into the sport, if you're wondering about our laws, it is going to be a very gun law heavy stream tonight. And on that note, we are going to be discussing, and that's a discussion both with you guys and amongst us. We're not going to say that we have the right answers. It's purely speculative. But yeah, we're going to
I
look
don't know,
into...
you've got some pretty solid statistics going on here.
Well, it's Wikipedia, and rule number one of any sort of, let's just say...
Rule number one of everything, as we've learned over the last couple of years, is believe everything you've read on the internet.
Especially people on Facebook.
Especially people on
That,
Facebook.
those experts, those
Don't look
scientific
anywhere
experts.
else. Only look on Facebook.
Only look
Only
on
Facebook.
Facebook. That's where you get all the answers, especially around guns. So we have done a bit of sort
No,
of
you can always go to
pre-research.
the gun control network as well. They're pretty good.
Oh
with-
yeah, no, they come up with all the good facts.
Yeah.
But we are going to be looking at, and it's going to be a two-pronged approach. Which has the best gun laws? That can mean two things. It can mean the best laws for shooters, for firearm enthusiasts like us. We're going to look at it that way, but also the best laws in terms of crime prevention, in terms of gun murder prevention. And I know there's a lot of people that will be very sort of stout in the belief that you can't stop murder, but there are, let's say, some correlations between laws, and are not necessarily the less laws, the more murders or the more crime. There is actually a correlation between the more restrictions there are in some places, the higher
Correlation or causation?
Yeah, what he said.
Or nothing at all.
So where this all sort of sparked from is we found Wikipedia is hardly a trusted source, guys. Come on. Well, there's no...
Really, you should have made this into a video than a live stream.
Probably.
We could have just sat here chatting shit for 2 hours, but no, instead...
There's still
that
time.
is what we do.
Instead, we've got to sit here and listen to him essentially filming all of his takes for a video.
No. Don't always
This
do
is
that.
it. This is pretty much you watching him making a video. It takes about
this is
2 hours
Yep.
to get 5 minutes of footage.
Yep, that's
Takes
it.
more than 2 hours.
That's the secret.
And generally, you do the research after the video. So this is
Yeah, I'll fact check. I'll come up with these thoughts, and then I'll just check if it's actually correct. So yes, Wikipedia isn't the standard of research, but there is a lot of useful information, and it's actually presented very well. So if you go on to gun laws by country, you can, you see, I'll bring it up now. There's this pretty awesome page. So they've got it by long gun, and also they've got it by handguns. So you can easily see sort of a hotspot map of where things are a little bit more lax or more restrictive. And then you have this fairly easy and intuitive table where you can quickly flick through. So we are going to be referring to that quite heavily and see what we can find. There is also the this is the list of countries by firearm related deaths. I've ordered it from the worst down to the bottom, and we'll also be cross correlating that. But before
Have you ever seen The Big Bang Theory?
I'll
But
be
this-
honest, I never got into it.
This feels a little bit like the Fun with Flags by Sheldon Cooper bit.
I haven't seen that. I haven't. I've watched some of it.
It's deliberately a
but-
YouTube channel that is boring as all shit.
Well, people enjoy it.
Okay.
Like they only seem to switch off when you guys are here, so maybe that's a correlation that I need to
I'll
look at.
fucking go.
Yeah, no, I'm good to go home.
But what I was going to do is say, first of all, what
We,
would...
just for anyone watching, we are here against our will.
Yep.
Save us.
Yeah.
Come to the open
Help.
day.
Send help.
Send nudes. Then
What is your idea of perfect gun laws?
perfect gun law would be gun laws applied to criminals, I guess.
but what...
It would be something where the people with legitimate use are unrestricted in what they do, and the laws affect people trying to use guns for illegitimate use.
So is that a question of restricting what guns we can own?
No,
No.
it's a question of ensuring that if someone wants to own a gun, they have good reason to do so.
So someone,
and
yeah.
they're going to use it in the right way.
So you think that there should be something to demonstrate your use of the gun?
There are a lot of countries, as I'm sure we're going to get into,
Yeah.
where sportsmanship is linked directly to the types of guns you can own.
Mm-hmm.
So there are countries where you can't own a handgun unless you are a member of the equivalent of their IPSC region or something like
Well,
that.
we had that interesting chat with the South Africans on their podcast,
Yeah.
and they had that in some areas their laws were even worse than ours. The amount of paperwork they needed per gun, they didn't have a generalised license. You needed to basically get signed off by the national governing body for your sport, the equivalent of the UK PSA out there, to say that you were an elite sportsman.
Yes, that wording was used specifically when they talked to us, elite sportsman, which I think is probably going a step too far. But I think, like, if you are competing in IPSC sports, for example, or some other sort of sport which might require a shotgun, you should be able to get hold of a shotgun for that sport.
Absolutely. If you're doing something that is constructive, if you can prove a skill, and also something that you can potentially then go on and represent your country on a national level. The Olympics is obviously the big one. It's the it's the golden shining example. It's actually how we've managed to get Section 5 licenses in the UK for sport.
This is how sort of like hypocritical it can be at times, because when the Olympics were being held in the UK, there was a special exemption for Olympic competitors to go and train with Section 5 guns in a range. I think it was in Exeter. Like, it was a bit like the 7-1 or 7-3, whichever one it is, where they get locked into a range and they get to train. But then the question and the hot topic of debate at the time is, how do you get into that if you can't have the gun to train with? How do you become an Olympic elite? Well, and there are pathways, don't get me wrong, because the disciplines are rapid fire pistol, for example. You'd get into it with air guns and such.
That's it, and that's what I heard in terms, I believe there's 20 Section 5. So a Section 5 license in the UK pretty much allows you, it's a license to be able to own anything, but it's still locked down. Just because you have it doesn't mean you can go and buy everything. It will be limited to particular guns. You will have a slot for a particular gun, and you can only go and buy and possess that one gun, or as many as is on your certificate. And my understanding of the process of those licenses being given out was through either military. There's a lot of army pistol shooters, and obviously they're able to go and use handguns, so they can demonstrate a skill.
Well, as far as I understand
but also 10-meter air pistol.
As far as I understand it, army pistol shooters don't have authority to possess it outside of when they're on duty.
Yes, so that's there's actually a number of those. It seems a little bit unfair because they get to play with all these fun tools day to day for their day job. But yes, a lot of those Section 5 sporting licenses are allocated to MOD members. I actually went and shot with them. This was well pre-COVID. It was, I think, in the run-up to the Tokyo Olympics, and they were holding various guest days and charity days to raise funds for charities and also for the pistol team. And they were very lucky, and they understood how lucky they were that they were able to have the tools for their day job to be able to then prove that they were an elite sports person. But yeah, I
don't think I listened to the last 3 minutes of him talking. What did you say?
I zoned out a while ago.
The route for a civilian, the route for anybody else would be to get into air pistol disciplines, to become pretty hot shit on that, and then you can use your skills with air pistols to demonstrate.
About Olympic pathway?
Not necessarily Olympic pathway, because there isn't really a pathway to getting a Section 5 license. But
well, no, because those Olympiads who were training with Section 5 back then are not allowed to train with it now.
No, there are 20 people that have Section 5 for sporting purposes, and they have that today, for as long as they're in the team. And I believe the civilians that were able to obtain that had shown themselves their skill level and ability through other disciplines like 10-meter air pistol or other pistol disciplines.
It might have been an NSRA thing. They might have lobbied to get those people.
I believe it was the NRA mainly behind it, but of course...
The NRA or the NSRA?
So, the NRA take a lot of credit for it.
The NSRA are quite an active organisation.
Yes, and I wouldn't put it past them to sort of work and collaborate, but as far as it's been presented to me, it's an NRA thing, because the NRA is a Section 5 site. They've got Charlesmore, which is where they lock it down. So the pistol team that are using these Section 5 licenses will go into a range, they lock everything down, like the 7.3, like the MOD training. And then they have the whole thing to be able to train. But yeah, back on to trying to deduce which is the best country. A lot of people saying America. I'm not actually. Yes, it's one of, I would say, but they're certainly not the best. There are still a lot of states that have very harsh restrictions. You look at California, look at Washington, like Washington DC, Chicago. Magazine restrictions, like not even we have magazine restrictions.
How have you not mentioned California yet?
Did I not say California?
Did he say? I don't
Yeah,
know.
he did
I
say
did say-
California.
I
He's
was
just-
not
just
listening.
just
I was
glazed
not
over.
listening.
You know,
Sorry.
assault rifle bans, whatever they are.
Hello, Mrs. Magload.
You've given her away. You could have just said that was a fangirl.
Oh, it's a fangirl.
It's one of the
part your
fangirls.
group.
One of many fangirls.
Many.
Two of which are sitting either side of me.
I'm not a fangirl.
No, you're a rent boy.
You know why they call him a gigolo? Because he jiggles, Joe.
You made
Get
that joke
in
last
everyone.
week.
I didn't know.
He did,
Sorry.
yes. And a lot of people are saying Texas. Now, like literally as I say that,
Yeah.
someone's popped up Texas.
Well, actually,
I think they have to remember that Texas isn't its own country, as much as they may think. You know,
I
but
think it's going to be really interesting when if you flick through, if you pick out like
Yeah.
some choice statistics and we have a look at them. That America isn't necessarily like if you consider best gun laws to mean the most free for the citizens of the country,
Yeah.
then America isn't actually the freest of
No.
the free
there are some
for the
interesting-
land of the free.
For the land of the free. I mean, at the end of the day, I got a parking ticket in America for parking the wrong way, facing the wrong way. Like, you don't get, like, for the land of the free, you get a $60 fine because you parked facing the wrong way. Like, just seems a bit silly.
No, I'd be for that
Why?
because you'd be pulling out into oncoming traffic rather than pulling out
Well,
with
we
a
manage
flow.
it fine here.
Well, not really.
I mean, how many times have you seen cars crashed into because Sally down the road couldn't park her car
Doris.
on her side
Doris.
of the road?
It's always Doris.
It's Doris.
Or Doris down the road.
Well, never, actually. So, yeah, we're going to have a quick flick through. So, in terms of the legend, basically, blue...
I am the legend.
I am legend. Blue is basically free-for-all. There's literally nothing, no requirements. You get it, partially licensed, allowed with a permit, allowed with, well, they've got it twice, but I guess that's no reason, that's with good reason. So we're going to have a flick through. Austria, straight away seems pretty good, and in terms of what we're looking at good reason required, personal protection, long guns, handguns, semi-fully. So they may issue fully automatic rifles or firearms out there, and they shall issue long guns and short guns, and they're allowed to have them for self-defense as well. In terms of, like, you can see, like, India and that sort of region seems really, really bad. And we'll also have a look at some of the penalties that you can get. Some are pretty extreme. So Bangladesh doesn't seem very kind to gun owners. You're not allowed, you have to provide justification, and you're limited up to one. So that's 3 gun. That's 3 gun out of the out of the options for Bangladesh. Let's have a look. Brazil is fairly okay until you start getting into the sort of full auto. But we know a number of world-class IPSC shooters out there, and they don't seem to have any issues at all. How do you even pronounce that? Burkina Faso? Literally
Sure,
no.
why not?
Like literally no. You're not getting a gun there. Cambodia, no, you're not getting a gun there. I'm not even gonna
Just pick out some choice ones that we can compare to the latest statistics.
So Czech Republic, right? We all know that the Czech Republic is a pretty good place for guns. The
A
Prime
lot
Minister,
of people consider it the gold standard for EU
yes,
gun laws.
and in some ways their laws are getting, if not are already better than the US. So I would actually rank, in terms of gun ownership, the laws in the Czech Republic as they stand at the moment are better than the US. They're even, may issue restricted. You may even get a full auto out there. So a lot of places where guns are completely banned. You can see that on the previous heat map. Fiji really don't. Interestingly, they suspended all their licenses in 2000. It's a complete no-go for any guns. Estonia seems pretty good, so you can have them, I guess, with good reason for hunting, target shooting and collecting. Very similar to here.
Members of the Defence League. That sounds like a superhero thing.
What? Where?
Estonia.
Estonia.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shall issue. Members of Defence League.
That's for the full auto stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not messing about with their defence.
Yeah,
league,
yeah.
are they?
The full autos are only for the superheroes.
Let's have a
Like
look.
something to talk about is, should people be allowed full auto?
Okay, I'll come off with this. Interestingly, Iraq, pretty good place if you want to own some guns. And if you're in Iraq, there's there's probably a lot of AR-15s available on the market at the moment. So
there you go, Callum. If you move out to Iraq, you can finally shoot some real guns.
I could shoot some real guns.
Well, you won't need an FAC out there.
No, well, it says shall issue. I would like to. I don't really want to go out to Iraq, but it would be interesting to go out to Iraq and go and speak to the firearms licensing department in Iraq. I'd be like, why do you want this gun? You're like, hunting. Definitely hunting in the mountains. But yeah, it's just odd that these countries that seem to have, some of them that have a lot of conflicts, and there's obviously in the news, their guns seem to be pretty freely. Maybe it's because people actually really need them out there. But for full auto, do you think that full auto should be legal here in the UK, or should be available to anyone with, say, good reason?
I don't know.
If you've got good reason to have it, then yeah.
Well,
sure,
yeah, it depends. Yeah, like if you've got good reason, let's say you're a member of a historical society or something like that. But
yeah.
So, I don't see any reason why it should be prohibited from owning one. At the same, personally, I don't see any good reason for myself to own one.
Yep.
However, I don't think it should be up to a legislator to decide what you need and what you don't.
Yep.
They should be legislating based off of risk factors, for example.
So your own personal assessment.
Your own personal assessment and your risk of, let's say, having the gun stolen or something like that.
Okay, so enhanced security measures.
I would say so. It's like, I think if people knew, like the recent gun trader links, or addresses of people were leaked out there, and you do have, let's say they were issued under a special license, then I think you should have uprated security, like a Red Care alarm system. I know we talked about it. Red Care not existing anymore, but a police-linked alarm system, so that if you were broken into, it'd call the police or something like that. But you should have enhanced security to be able to have a full auto, just because it makes you a target, not because necessarily you're going to do anything wrong with it. If you're a licensed firearm holder.
Well, it doesn't matter how much security you have. If you're the one going and doing something bad with a gun, you're going to take it out the safe and do something bad.
And maybe enhanced background checks. Maybe 2 tiers of background checks.
Security clearance, maybe.
Maybe not security clearance, but maybe
at the end of the day as well, though, you have to look at the fact that full auto gun or semi-auto gun, a lot of people can shoot them at very similar fire rates.
Well, yeah, look at Jerry Michalak.
A competition shooter with a good double tap
Yep.
can pull that off in a bigger string. He doesn't need a full auto gun to be able to put that many rounds down range that quickly.
This is always something that sort of surprises me when people, they rate it, full auto, semi-auto, single shot. And it's like, actually, if you're looking at a gun being used in a bad way, it's all about accuracy. It doesn't matter how many bullets that gun can fire within a minute, within 10 seconds or whatever. If you're not hitting any targets, you're not doing any damage. And full autos aren't particularly accurate.
They're hard to control.
Unless you've got a cobalt muzzle brake on it.
Okay, well, yes, and then you can do it one-handed and then back. And then also, even if you have a 30, 50 round drum mag and you hold down the trigger, you're empty. Whereas, with a semi-auto or a bolt action, you're much more controlled. It's going to be much more accurate. Your targets are going to be much more purposeful. Is that the right word?
Well, I mean, at the same time, what can you use a full auto for?
There's a lot of
clinking,
leagues.
sure.
Well, yeah, fun and recreation.
Oh, here's the thing: is if full auto was globally less restricted, would there be more competitions and things like that for full auto?
Well,
could you imagine, it's still challenged, but with 16 plates?
They have that. No, they have that. It's the Subgun Nationals. I'll bring up a...
Oh, okay.
So one of the guys out in the Netherlands that taught us how to shoot handguns, I think it's Tom, I can't remember his last name, but he's part of the Netherlands 3-gun national team, and he is big into his subguns. So when we were out there, they bought an Uzi, and it was like, a competition Uzi. I know that sounds really weird.
That sounds cool.
That does sound cool.
That doesn't sound weird. It sounds cool.
Gun
I need to see what a competition Uzi looks like.
nationals, like a normal Uzi.
Okay.
With a Chichikon on top.
A Chichikon.
Chichikon.
A Chichikon.
I'm not going to be able to find any videos, am I? I swear it's called Subgun Nationals. There we go. Here's a just random video, but it is titled Submachine Guns National in 2014. Is that clays? Are they shooting clays with the full autos? Just a nice view of someone's arse there. You can see like massive arrays of targets.
Just got to mow them down.
So they do have full competitions with subguns. Right. So, you know, I'm sure there would be some sort of argument of, well,
that would be one hell of an expensive sport.
It is. It's also one of the things that Knob Creek, the Knob Creek machine gun shoots, they schedule it around that time. I'll sort of video now because I'm not playing it. And it was Tom that was actually he was saying how disappointed he was because the restrictions is actually something I'm going to talk about later because of American shooting trips. He was disappointed that the restrictions weren't lifted earlier because he's going to miss the last the last Knob Creek machine gun shoot, and it wasn't necessarily the night shoot that it's so famous for. It was the Subgun Nationals. It was the machine gun competitions that he wanted to do. But funnily enough, you look at the Netherlands laws, single-barreled shotguns are banned, but there's ways for them to be able to have full auto for sport. Right?
It's like, what country is it? It's not Estonia, it's another country where pump actions are banned because someone committed an atrocity with a pump action specifically, but they can still have semi-autos, shotguns.
Well, it sounds very similar to what happened in the Netherlands. Somebody went in with I think it was a semi, but it was a single-barreled shotgun into a shopping centre. So they specifically banned single-barreled shotguns, but they're still allowed semi-auto, full-bore. They're still allowed handguns and all that.
I think like this might be controversial, but if I had to pick something that we should be allowed here in the UK, it wouldn't necessarily be handguns.
Well, we've had this discussion
it
before.
It would be semi-auto rifles.
Whereas I would definitely pick handguns.
Nah, handgun.
Yeah, this is the thing. Is
handguns.
You boys are shotgun guys, and I'm a long gun guy. Like I think I'd prefer. And I actually think if
it's because you're compensating for something, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, the short beard.
We have a customer who quite famously calls us big beard, little beard. We'll leave it up to you as to who's who. But I actually think it'd be easier to lobby to have semi-auto rifles first than it would be to lobby to have handguns back. Because it's a smaller step to semi-auto centerfire.
It is, because we already have
straight pull.
Rimfire 2.2 semi-autos and straight pulls and other full-bore rifles. The whole hang-up about the handguns is concealability. That's why everyone comes out and says, that's why we shouldn't be allowed to have handguns because they're concealable.
I've seen someone hide a rifle under a trench coat before.
Exactly right.
I could hide a mini rifle if I wanted to.
Don't
yeah, because you haven't got anything else down there.
So for those unaware of our specific laws when it comes to handguns, that's why we've got this, what is referred to as an LBR, a long-barreled revolver.
But you could conceal that just as easily as another one.
But apparently that rod makes it inconcealable.
It just makes it awkward.
There's no way that could be concealed. There's also no...
Kind of makes it a bit dangerous to shoot. Well, not necessarily
you can
because...
impale yourself on it.
Not so much that, but stage designers no longer do prone pistol stages in the UK. Because you can't safely go prone with the rod out the back.
No. Yes, to the competitor, it is introducing a level of danger. I really don't know what it is preventing, because if you're going to go and do something...
They've picked an arbitrary number of 24 inches.
Yeah.
It sounded good.
What, 24 inches overall and a 12-inch barrel?
Yeah.
But in
the States, would that be an SBR?
Yes. This is like the crazy thing. Like, our rules on barrels here, because it's down to 12 inches.
No, it wouldn't. It would be a pistol because it hasn't got a shoulder stock.
But can you brace that rod?
Probably.
But pistol braces haven't been deemed.
Well,
SBRs
sorry.
have they?
Can you brace not a pistol brace, but can you use that rod as a stock?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be counted as an SBR.
No,
That's
probably
that's
wouldn't.
my point.
But our the 1522 with a 12-inch barrel, that would be an SBR.
Yep.
And we can own that freely. So let's have another look.
You say freely, you still have to get your FAC for it.
Yes, you do. Or mini rifle exemption.
FAC.
Boys. Anyway, Japan is not a good place for gun ownership out there. Jordan is
For Brian Evans in the comments there, we're going to get onto illegal guns. We will. We're not talking about. We're talking about legal ownership at the moment.
yes, yeah.
And we're not talking about the correlation between gun laws and illegal guns. We will get onto that.
Well, we're going to get onto the correlation between gun laws and
The apparent correlation.
and murders. So Maldives, Mali, not good places to be able to own guns. Marshall Islands, not a good place. Mexico is a reasonably good place to own a gun. Moldova, good. Monaco.
Don't go through the entire list. Just
Well-
pick a couple of choice ones, because I think if people want to go through the list, they can go through it themselves.
They can.
Unless that was your idea of filling
That's a
2
bad
hours.
one.
Well, no, I was just skimming through. It's just interesting, like, Pakistan, like, pretty free for gun ownership. But there are a couple that we saw earlier that did make us laugh. Where is it? Where there is like the King, South Sudan, permitless. You can have a gun however you want. Switzerland, as we all know, is a pretty good place to own a gun. That's one of the ones that's always used. United States. So again, a very good place. Comparing that to Switzerland,
That's
there is
quite
a lot-
interesting actually. So I didn't notice that. So blue is permitless and green
Yeah.
is, and everything else is apart from red is with a permit, right?
Yes.
So a lot of those countries where we said they were quite free in their gun
They
ownership,
didn't have as much blue.
no, they didn't. It was all on ticket.
Yep.
But so the States is the first one we've seen with that much blue, where you've got this much permitless
Yeah.
firearm ownership.
Well, funny enough, United Kingdom and United States, a good comparison there. What we're looking at, so obviously the US is considerably better than United Kingdom. I will flick back to Czech Republic just to check it against the US.
I believe Czech Republic has permits. Just no restrictions of what you put on
Yemen.
the permit.
Right, Yemen is so permitless. You can have in Yemen, you can have permitless, fully automatic firearms. So Yemen is actually a better place to own a gun than the USA.
I think you'd probably different choice of words rather than a better place to own a gun. It's easier to get hold of.
Yeah,
Yes.
there is less restrictions.
Less restrictions.
Less
yeah.
restrictions. Cook Islands, don't want to go there if you're a gun owner. Gaza Strip is again, you can own a fully automatic without a permit, better than the USA in terms of gun ownership. Not even going to try and hold that, say that name, but it is rebel held, so I'm assuming it's not a particularly nice place to live, unless you want to be able to own full autos without any permits. But the one, I've scrolled past it, unfortunately. Where is it? Wanted to find, so Venezuela, right? They haven't even got that because they're changing their gun laws. Well, they're making them harder and harder and harder all the time. But Venezuela, from this, is not a nice place to own a gun, and it's 20 years. The maximum penalty for being caught with something you shouldn't, firearms related, is up to 20 years, which is one of the harshest penalties. We saw others here that are going to be sort of 20 years, some 25 years. Where's that? Sri Lanka, don't want to fuck about with guns out there. But there's some places where you can get the death penalty for breaking. Want to take a guess who this is? Of course, it's North Korea. 20 years or death if you break firearms laws out there. There are a couple of other ones that have.
So we have
20 or death.
minimum
Indonesia.
5-year sentence for firearms offence.
Well, this
So
actually,
that is a minimum.
this is probably going to show the validity of this data. Let's find United Kingdom. So it says 5 to 10. So 5 is the minimum, but according to this, the maximum for, I guess this is possession of an illegal firearm.
Or a firearms offence, wouldn't it?
But then I know you can get more than 10 years for like smuggling, for distribution, for manufacturing.
Well, that's probably a different crime, isn't it?
Well, it's still a firearms offence, but it's...
There's more crimes on top of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why you get a bigger sentence.
You're
'cause
getting
you get
sentenced
the
for
firearms
multiple
offence
things,
and
yeah.
you get the other stuff as well.
Yes, and it's probably 10 years like per offence, so they can stack them and you can end up in prison for a very long time. But yeah, just take a mental note of the US, and we'll compare it quickly to the Czech Republic. Apologies for all the scrolling.
I was going to say, if the scrolling's making you feel dizzy, just like make the window a bit smaller, like rotate your phone or come out of full screen.
So
it helps.
So based on this, it is Czech Republic is, well, there's no blue compared to the USA.
But I don't think it's such a bad idea to know where all the guns are, because if something did get used in a crime, you can trace it back to where it came from.
And we've had a quick look through. There's some surprise, like Yemen being a nice place for gun ownership, and we obviously know about Switzerland, Czech Republic, the US. We are going to start having a look at comparing it to this, which is the gun homicide rate in a minute. So you were saying, Connors, about knowing where guns are.
Yeah.
So your idea again of this, of like the ultimate firearms law would have registration, which is a big thing in the US.
I know it's a big thing in the US, but I think it would be important to know where guns are, or at least to be able to have a paper trail, so that if a gun turned up in a crime, you could link it back to somewhere. So for example, if a gun was used in a crime and it was traced back to a firearms owner who had a burglary, and a bunch of guns were stolen, you'd know what other guns those particular criminals potentially had access to, and then you'd know what you were looking for to recover the rest of them. Or if you traced it back to a legal firearms owner, and you go and you talk to them and you find that they haven't had any burglaries, but they're missing a bunch of guns. They might have been selling guns to criminals, might be a criminal themselves. You'd be able to track that and, find out where things were coming from. It's quite famous. What is it? Gun number 12, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
It's an untraceable gun because no one knows how it got into the country. Like if
no serial numbers. Yeah.
Like maybe if it had a paper trail coming into the country, it might have been easier to track down in the first place.
But it was a handgun, which can't be owned under a Section 1 license. Anyway, the really interesting thing about, I think it's like gun number 7 or whatever, is that it's been used in like 20 different firearms offences. Like it's killed multiple people, it's shot multiple people, but they're all completely unrelated. The only thing that ties all of those crimes together is this one gun.
It's the ballistics report, isn't it?
And it really highlighted to the police, the government, that there is an underground network of gun rental. It's, we've heard these things before of you can rent a gun, you buy bullets, but if you come back with less bullets or less rounds than when you're left with, they know that you've shot that gun. That then makes the gun hotter, so there's like an additional fee on top of that. So there's this whole like economy of renting guns, and obviously somebody kept renting it to different gangs, probably gangs on both sides. It's a business to them at the end of the day. But yeah, I'm as you know, I'm a supporter within the UK of our licensing system, because our licensing system, regardless of our laws for the moment in terms of what we can and can't own, the licensing system looks at the person.
Yes, which I think is important.
And
it's the most important thing.
And that's it. It's and people get into an argument, certainly when you're looking into the US, of, well, who do you then decide who can and can't own a firearm? I think there's metrics that most people can agree on. So criminals, if you have demonstrated that you can't obey by the laws in your area, that you're not really a nice person, and maybe there's a sliding scale, so certain crimes don't make you prohibited, but violent crimes, certainly serious thefts, robberies, things like that.
You know what? I might move to Texas. I've already got family out there.
Well,
we could get a really big machine shop out there.
I know.
We could just be down the road from Lantac.
That would be cool.
see if we can finally kiss and make up. See, everyone says Texas, right? Utah. Utah, like there's all these memes going around of Texas now is like a shall issue state for concealed carry or CCWs. I think that's what recently changed. And there's like 10 other states that's like, yeah, welcome to the party. Like we've had this for ages. Utah actually, I've said it a million times, Tulare County has the highest gun ownership rate per person than anywhere else in the States. There are more guns per people in that county than anywhere else in the state. So I actually look at Utah as being like the gun capital of the US in terms of the sheer numbers.
Well, Georgia was pretty good as well.
Georgia, the southern states, as far as I'm aware, the southern states, Texas is a southern state, but you're probably talking like the deep south. They are usually pretty good.
I hear the food's better down there as well.
Yeah, fried chicken. It's the metropolitan, it's the cities. That's where you tend to get, from my knowledge, the worst gun laws in the US, and also the most gun crime. So it's like, hang on a minute, that you know.
And on that note, shall we have a look at some of these?
So we'll have a look. So this is the sort of gun homicide rate per country. So it's this is the main.
So Venezuela right at the very top with. All guns are banned from all civilian ownership.
Yeah, as we saw on the, if I bring this back up, and I'll try and do it so I'm not scrolling through. Venezuela, oh you bastard. It's just going to say, oh, that's not going to work, is it? Let's try, I'm not even going to try and...
Can you not just zoom out?
No, I want to find, there we go. So restricted, compared, okay, it's not as bad as some, but it's certainly on the lower end of what you can own within.
But they have May issue for auto.
May issue, but thank you, Mr. E30, much appreciated. So yeah, Venezuela certainly don't have the best gun laws in terms of what you can own, but they have the worst out of all countries in terms of homicide. So let's see El Salvador. In terms of comparing it with their, let's go back here. El Salvador. So, like the complete reverse. So
what you're basically showing is potentially there's no correlation.
No correlation between how easy it is to get a gun.
Do you know what I
and
think that might?
homicide
Do
rate.
you know why I think that might be?
Why?
Well, because if gun laws affect the law abiding, and it's the criminals who are murdering people, then the two things are completely unrelated anyway.
Well, yeah, and that's what you're saying is,
If someone wants to get a gun in the UK, they'll find a way to get a gun, whether they do it legally or illegally.
So this is one of the worst. Again, they've got various licensing and restrictions. Eswatini, Jamaica, that's pretty bad. Let's find that. Oh, let's put a J in there. Oh, come on, there we go.
Fairly restricted.
Fairly restricted, probably at the same level of as the UK, although they can obviously own more. They don't have the handgun ban, but they've got restrictions. So we're flipping between them, some good, some bad, and they're all up here. Brazil was a pretty good place to be able to own a gun. They're high up there. Let's have a look at Honduras. So it's just interesting to really nail down.
Well, I think what you're showing is that you can't nail anything down. There is no correlation.
Well, the previous few have actually been pretty relaxed in their gun ownership, and they're high up on the list.
I think what's more important when it comes to gun crime is the politics of the area and the politics of the country.
This is where you start to get into the conversation of culture.
Oh, up to 303. Good.
Up to 303.
303 is a
Wait,
good
is that
caliber.
up to and including? Or no, because there's some countries that, like France, you're not allowed to own military
I
calibers.
think it's Italy, isn't it?
Or is it Italy?
I don't know.
I thought it was,
I don't know.
Pass.
but interestingly, South Africa's pretty far up that list, and we know it's actually fairly restricted, fairly hard to get a gun under, with all the licensing. Let's have a look in the reverse. Interestingly, the best place in the world in terms of the lowest murders with firearms is Australia. They do actually have pretty strict firearms law. Wait, why is Brazil back up there? Where's that? Oh no, that's alphabetical. Am I clicked? There we go. This is it. Singapore, Japan. Interestingly, I know Japan is one of the strictest places. Like you even need like a license for an airsoft pistol, don't you?
They've got kind of a more advanced version of VCRA Act
Okay.
that we have in the UK. So you still have to go through that kind of vetting process before you can access airsoft guns out in.
So it's like closer to our licensing system here.
Kind of, but it's also a bit different. It's quite complicated. I don't fully understand it, but it is more difficult to get into shooting sports out in Japan in general.
Right. Interestingly, in terms of countries with the best or the lowest murder rate or homicide rate, there's a lot of European. Like, okay, Singapore, Japan, Hong Kong, Cuba, but you know we've got.
Yeah, but Cyprus is because there's no one there.
but Cyprus is a gun-loving country.
Yeah.
But yet they've got a low murder rate there.
And no birds.
And no birds. But look, you know,
Shot 'em.
Netherlands, Spain, you know, Netherlands and Spain, you can own a lot of guns, although a lot of licensing. Ireland, very similar laws to, well, England and Northern Ireland, Germany, Italy, that you can own quite a lot in Italy and Germany, yet they have very similar rates to the UK. You know, we're probably teaching you guys to suck eggs and pointing
We're
at...
teaching you guys how to scroll through Wikipedia.
That's it. Very difficult.
Callum just
Deference.
really needed to fill 2 hours tonight.
No, I thought it would be an interesting thing to actually go.
Yeah, maybe to
and
you.
compare. Well, people see.
Well,
Are you interesting?
Yes, airsoft is big in Japan, but so is Tom Waits. So there you go. Niche joke for the educated.
It just says homicide, not gun-related homicide. It
says firearms-related death.
Firearms-related death, and yes, people. Yeah, I'm looking through the total, and then there's the whole argument of suicides. We're trying to make it as good for the antis looking at this as possible, and even making it as good for them as possible. There's still no correlation.
Tonight on English Wikipedia.
Yeah, well, it's a conversation point.
Little
And
Beard bores people with his voice.
And what we're trying to.
They love it.
Yeah, so shut the fuck up and
You're
get
all
on board.
weird. You're all strange.
But we're trying to nail down what is, you know, so where's the best place to own firearms? Well, it is a mix between.
It depends
of course, the US
what you
and-
consider the best. If you want somewhere with restrictions that
Well, that's it.
you're only going to be able to get hold of something if you're vetted, then it will be one country. If you want something where if you want a gun you can go and buy it, it's going to be another country.
Let's talk about something on a slightly different tangent here, because I know we've got a lot of US viewers at the moment. Their ethos is registration leads to confiscation and all that kind of stuff, which obviously goes against what my feelings are. But why don't we talk about that? So a lot of them feel that guns should not be registered in the first place.
See, it depends where in the world, right? In America, absolutely utterly pointless, because as we saw, like one of the interesting.
It's pointless now because there's so many guns out there already.
So there's 120 guns per 100 inhabitants, based on this figures, which is like one of the highest. What's actually? I bet it is. I've got the chart here. I'll bring it up for you guys in a sec.
No, I think
Don't
don't
bring it up because people are going to throw up.
No,
Well,
here we go. I'm not going to scroll.
That would be
Right.
pretty funny if you did make someone throw up just by scrolling.
So this is Yeet.
You're pointing at it; they can't see what you're
No,
pointing at.
I know they can't. But
Use your cursor.
I'm a animated speaker. Okay, cursor.
No,
Here we
he's
go.
Really not. He sounds like a news presenter.
This is it's ordered by the most guns per 100 people. across the world.
Yeah, Cyprus is only up there because there's no one fucking out there.
Yeah, but they have a lot of guns for the few people that are out there. There's like 2 people out there and they've got 60 guns.
Well, yeah, one of them's my granddad.
Yeah. But interestingly, Germany has a very high gun ownership rate, but was very low on the homicide. Finland as well, Cyprus as well. So, but America just absolutely floors anybody else. There are, based on this, more guns than people out in the US, and that's why I think, and I always bring it back to the war on drugs. And it was something like there were 10 million regular users of drugs in illegal drugs in the US, and they have admitted that the war on drugs didn't work. That was 10 million people, and then the estimates are something like there's 150 million gun owners, and more guns than people out in the US. So if they can't stop something that 10 million people were doing, how the hell are they ever going to stop what 150 million people are doing? And it's sort of like the cat's out of the bag in the US. Guns are everywhere, there's more guns than people, so trying to gather them all up, trying to restrict them is just meaningless. You sort of just got to work with it. Whereas in the UK, from like when guns were first really available, we started having, well, it was like a fishing license back then. You go and get it, but your name was on a list. They knew that you had guns. My granddad had his shotguns when prior
I think
licenses.
it's different in the States where you can naturally assume that everyone has a gun.
Yeah.
There's no need to track where guns come from or whether or not someone's a target.
And that's it.
Everyone's got a gun, so everyone's a target.
And as you know, the gun is the great equalizer. And if everybody else has a gun, well, there is a, just out of fairness, to continue allowing other people or everyone to be able to own guns. Whereas in the
So
UK,
is legislation fair?
no, I'm just saying in an ideal situation. But in the UK, we have 750,000 certificate holders out of a population of 17 million. So we have an incredibly low gun ownership rate. There's 2.53 million legally owned firearms in the UK. So, a much, much lower rate of gun ownership, which would make it theoretically possible for them, or a lot more achievable, to go out and round all those guns and keep a tab of who's got who and
They
all
already
that.
do.
They do. So it has to be country specific.
Well,
so your original question
with
of
the whole registration needs confiscation, all that kind of thing.
Yep.
You know what? I've got a counter argument.
Mm.
Mars and lever release.
Yep.
So all of these guns are on ticket.
Yep.
Right. The FLDs have logs.
Firearms licensing departments.
Firearms licensing departments have logs of who has these guns.
Yep.
They ban these guns or move them to Section 5.
Yep.
And they don't know who has them.
No.
It was like, it kind of, like, I'm not saying that the registration is wrong. I'm saying the system we have for registration has a flaw in it.
Yes.
Where 1,000 guns are supposedly out there and 100 or so were recovered.
No, it was like, well, first of all the numbers, their estimates were blown out of the water. So there's loads of full videos. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was like 2 or 3 times the amount of guns that were actually handed in that they didn't even know about, and there's still suspectedly like 100 or 200 Mars out there
because people didn't know. Because people didn't know they were moved to Section 5.
Yes, and it literally made people that had never committed a crime in their lives serious criminals.
Well, they got like minimum 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah,
But to be
up to
fair,
10
I mean,
years.
like they only moved to Section 5 like a month or so ago, didn't they? So it wasn't even that long ago. But
yeah,
my point was that they didn't know who had these guns.
It's all
So
well and-
even though they
yeah.
were registered,
Yep.
they still didn't know.
It's all well and good having registration, but if they're not going to implement it correctly, then what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Which I think was the overall thing of the Mars. Not only did it point out the failings and the inconsistencies within our licensing department, but also like whatever they achieved, if they don't know where these guns are now, and there's somebody at home with a Mars and they haven't come knocking already, doesn't that just say to them they don't know they've got a Mars?
Well, the other thing I'd point to is that every ticket holder in the country,
Yep.
or at least in Hampshire, received a letter saying, "Do you have a Mars? If so, this is the situation."
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is very UK specific. What we're talking about now is, I think part of the issue is there's no guidelines on how guns are supposed to be written onto tickets.
Yep.
So, for example, a gun that has 2 words in its name might only have one of those words written on the ticket. So when they go for their little Control F in their Excel spreadsheet to see who's got a Mars, and some people might have it registered as a Mars, some people
Visa
might have
58.
it registered as a Visa 58,
Yeah.
some people might have it registered as
Straight pull rifle.
straight pull rifle. Yeah,
Like I've seen it before when there's no
it
distinguishable
needed
marking.
some standardisation
Yes.
as to the classification of the guns and how they're recorded. And I think part of the issue is all of the FLDs working individually. There does, as much as it pains me to say it, there needs to be a unified body to deal with this.
Yeah, and that's something that we've talked about before, and it's almost like be careful what you wish for.
Well, I know, but the thing is with FLDs is because they're relatively small considering what they're doing. Personal grudges can come into it, and they can allow that sort of thing to affect their judgment. Whereas a more nationalised body would be a lot more faceless, a lot more anonymous to the people they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And personal feelings will come less into it.
And it is going to become more standardised. You know, it
And it'll
doesn't
become
matter
more
if you're in
standardised,
Hampshire or if you're in Carlisle. That's Scotland, different country, different. Is Carlisle in Scotland? No, that's
No, Carlisle's-
England.
It's almost Scotland.
Almost Scotland.
It might as well be
Please.
Scotland.
But yeah, someone in
going there
Carlisle
next weekend.
versus somebody in Hampshire, they're going to get the same level of service. They're going to get the same interpretation of the law.
That I think is really important because I think it's applied differently depending on the person currently dealing with it and their interpretation.
Yeah, I mean, even within a county, depending on what firearm inquiry officer you have, you can get a different answer for the same question.
They'd probably halve their workload
Yep.
if it was all standardised.
Yep.
Because I would, total wild guess here, but I would take a wild guess that the vast majority of contact that FLDs have are people asking, is this legal, is this not illegal, or what do I have to do to get X, and that sort of thing. Because if it was standardised across the country, it doesn't have to be nationalised, but if it was standardised, then there would be, so if you want a Section 1 shotgun, this is what you need to do. Same across the entire country. If you want a humane dispatch, this is what you need to do across the country.
Well, loads of people have been saying, for a very long time that our firearms guidance sort of needs to be torn up and redone.
It kind of does, but we know it won't work out for the better
No,
for us.
it won't. And again, that's where it comes in, careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, would you move abroad just to have better gun laws?
I'd move abroad for cheaper ammo.
Yeah, but our ammo's cheaper than the US at the moment.
The thing is, you can move abroad,
I'd move
have better gun laws, but not be able to shoot in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You
just
might-
because you can own a gun doesn't mean you can actually go out and shoot it.
So like the competition scene over here is really, really healthy.
What,
UK
compared to
being,
the US?
And it's
Yes,
getting even better
because
as well.
the UK being small compared to the US, nothing's more than like a 6-hour drive away. Even Scotland is 7 hours,
True.
absolute tops.
True.
Right, you could drive there in a day. You could drive there the day before, shoot a match, and come home the same day.
You see the same people at all the matches.
Yeah, and there's a really healthy competition, social group, society. I don't know what you want to call it.
Community.
The community.
Yeah,
That's the word I'm looking
absolutely.
for. And I think when you go out to the States and the big matches are like 4 states over, and you might end up taking a flight to get there or something like that.
It gets expensive.
It gets expensive. You don't necessarily you're not got the same community because yes, you'll see the same few people every time.
Well, you start seeing the same pros, but in terms of that's the really
Right,
nice thing.
over here, you have an entire club will go and be an entire squad in a match. That is,
and that doesn't matter if it's in Wales, in Scotland, Grimsby, or anywhere else.
I remember when I used to shoot with Maidstone a lot. We would all walk on there with the blue Maidstone shirts, and people they'd know we were there. It's like you guys with the green shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, just needs to change to yellow, but
No, staying as green.
no.
So I've tackled this question a number of times, and it's every time I've answered this, it sort of becomes less and less relevant, which is everything else in life. And for most people, shooting is a hobby. Yes, it may be the thing that you think about the most, you want to do the most, but it's actually a very small part of your overall existence. You've got
Not for me.
You've got friends,
my job.
family. You've got your work,
My friends are
education, and all this. But what's happened over the years?
I'm not your friend.
No, but my friends.
He's
are
your
a
daddy.
Chiappa. I prefer the term uncle.
Creepy uncle. There's always a creepy uncle in the family.
There is always a
but
creepy.
I'm not that creepy.
But over the years,
we've gotten a few dislikes. I'm surprised we've only got 3 dislikes.
Oh yeah, by the way,
One of those is me.
hit the likes. If
Oh
you're,
yeah,
if you're
I forgot to hit the dislike button as well.
if you're watching this
Smash that
and
dislike button.
if you're watching it and you're continuing to watch it, you must be in some way enjoying it. So hit the like button.
Hit
It
the
all
dislike
helps.
button. Engagement's engagement, right?
Yeah, all publicity is good publicity. But yeah, so over the years, my career has moved full time into shooting. Overwhelmingly, my friends are the few that I have are shooters. So more and more of my life has gone into shooting. But then there's still, family. There's, it's not just so easy to just uproot and move to another country. And in terms of the business, it's like, yes, ultimately it would be better if Magload was in the US.
Well, yeah. I mean, Hardin's are made out there. Can probably pick them up for $20.
Yeah, right. So it would be better as a company to be out there, but we're rooted here. It's a massive gamble and a massive step, and that's why you've got to have at least some admiration for the likes of Lantac, because they did it. They started in the UK and broached out to the US, and that's now their main base, and it does make sense. We've always said about having an office at the very least, or some sort of base long-term
Range.
out there, or
Having a
range.
range out there.
And that's really the goal. The life goal for me isn't necessarily to move out there for shooting. It's to get myself into a position where going out there to shoot, you don't have to think about it. I want to be in the position where it's like, oh, we're going out this weekend or this week for this competition. Like the pro shooters do. And I don't mean like the pro shooters in the US. I mean the likes of Jarko Laukia, Team Magload member. He was in Poland this week. Came second.
Well, even
in the Polish nationals.
Justin Cooper just spent a week out in Poland,
Yeah.
shooting handgun matches. So it can be done. It's
Yeah.
just a case of
Money.
It's about money, and I
Money.
think that's what it ultimately comes down to is living out in the US for say 3 gun.
Well, another thing is,
IPSC.
out in the US is shooting is more accessible.
Mhm.
The guns are cheaper, the ranges are cheaper. You can. I'm assuming, judging from what I can see online, is that you can basically fall out of bed and onto a commercial range where you can go and shoot your gun and
We don't even need to go to a range, but any public land.
yeah.
So you mentioned that you just walk down the highway, find some public land, and go, yeah, I'm going to zero my rifle. Whereas here, like, you need to zero your rifle. Like, that's actually quite a difficult thing.
It is.
in the build up
That's
to a
probably,
match.
that's probably why you get Florence going to so many matches with gun that has been zeroed.
Hello, Florence.
Free.
But yeah, so yeah,
I heard Florence hit some no shoots at his last match.
did he?
no training. He hit like 6 no shoots on Tuesday.
2 times 3 is 6.
It might be 5.
That
It was
might be
more
5.
than 3.
Um,
He hit 2 on the first course of fire.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of the ultimate gun laws, that is going to depend, I think, on your own personal views.
And again, we've been talking about the ultimate gun laws in terms of what allows you to own the most guns. What about the flip side? What if the ultimate gun laws were the ones that prevented the most crime?
again, that is the way that you can look at it both ways, can't you? The best
See, I
laws
don't
for
think-
accessibility.
I don't think necessarily laws would help lower crime, it's enforcement.
And it's people.
Culture, mental health.
Well, let's talk about the UK. Yes. Let's talk about the UK. Like, if the laws were enforced better, enforced better. The issue is is illegal guns coming in, right? Guns that legal gun owners couldn't possibly own, like handguns and things like that.
Scorpions and
Yeah,
the like.
it's it's going to be virtually impossible to stop them coming across the border. But if the police had more resource to investigate and to track down and all that kind of stuff, the thing is, right? So I've been burgled before. Right. The police came over, they dusted the prints, and I said, what am I going to hear about this? They go, nothing. Chances are we don't have the time or resource to follow up on this. I'm like, but I've had like all my stuff stolen. Sorry, we don't have the time to deal with this. I think that's just a sad state, and I think it's gotten worse. That was many years ago. I think it's gotten worse since then. Like when I used to work in the bicycle industry, constantly bicycle theft. Sorry, yeah, your bike's been stolen. We'll make a record of it. There's nothing we can do about it, and we're not going to even try to do anything about it because they don't have the resource.
Well, I mean, even bigger stuff. Like my family had a caravan stolen off our driveway. It was gone for best part of an hour or so. It got nicked while my mum was on her way to my primary school to pick me and my brother up. We get back, the caravan's not there. Ring up my dad. Have you got the caravan? No. Ring up the police. Like, she was gone for like 2 hours at most. Police came around, took an interview and everything, and they didn't have the time to go and look for it. And it's a caravan. It's not a small
This
thing.
is the thing, is I think the police just need more resource to be able to handle what's going on. Like, if you want to reduce crime, introducing more laws doesn't help. Like, the laws that we have already can't be enforced because there's not enough resource to do so. How is putting more work and more pressure on them by increasing the laws?
This is why personally I get upset so much, and a lot of other people are upset about the Mars. You know, the million of Mars and Lever Release and Offensive Weapons Act, the millions of pounds and time and resource that was put into that when they had never been used in crime, where the border force are going, we haven't got enough boots on the ground to be able to stop the influx of illegal firearms, and not forgetting that the statistics very much show that the overwhelming majority of deaths and firearm crime is committed with illegal firearms. And that might sound like a stupid statement.
It's guns that would be, that there is no way of legally owning without Section 5.
Not just that. Guns that are in illegal possession. So it's your criminal with even an over and under shotgun, or it's your criminal with a 2.2 rimfire semi-auto. Guns that would be legal under Section 1 or Section 2, but they are holding illegally. And I think it's, on average, it's around 20 deaths per year, and on average 1 or 2 of those are attributed to a lawfully owned firearm. So it's like, exactly what you're saying, the laws don't stop gun crime because criminals break law. It doesn't matter how many laws you have, how strict they are.
The gun is illegal. It's in illegal possession. Making it more illegal.
Yeah, making something doubly illegal is what we say like all the time. But it is interesting looking between the correlation between firearm homicides or firearm deaths and the laws. There isn't any correlation between stricter laws and less deaths, or more lax laws and an increase in deaths, which goes to show that the laws aren't working.
It would be interesting to compare homicide rates with the sizes of the police forces per 100 people. The number of police officers per 100 people.
Yeah. So more police officers being able to catch criminals, being able to take illegal guns off of the streets. That would be really interesting.
The issue there is getting people to be police officers.
Yeah.
The job, quite simply, as a young person, the job doesn't pay well enough to make it appealing to young people.
In the UK, at least, as far as I understand it from friends who've applied, you have to do 2 years as a community CPSO.
I don't know. I never.
So you have to do 2 years essentially volunteer work before you could be considered for a paid role. I might be wrong. Someone correct me in the comments for that.
But you have to go into as a PCSO or a community officer, which is like a volunteered officer. Sorry.
How do you work for 2 years unpaid?
Exactly. Truth junkie. It's not, and this is what I was saying in regards to the Offensive Weapons Act and the Mars and Lever Release. No, it's not about resource, it's about allocation of the existing resource in the correct way. And what Truth Junkie is saying is that at the moment there are 2,000 officers dedicated to online hurty feelings. There, I said it.
There's a donut operator fan right there.
Yes, hurty words. So, I completely agree. And when it comes to the gun crime and them obsessing over the 50 BMG, which we managed to save, or the 50 Cal Society managed to save from the chopping block within the Offensive Weapons Act. Like, a 50 BMG had never been used in crime, but they're like, but imagine what would happen if somebody got it. And I go, well, no, shouldn't we be concentrating on the 40% of firearm offences that are committed with illegal to possess handguns? You know, actually, if you want, you know, there's a really interesting speech. This was around the, oh God, is it the Mullen inquiry? It was basically in the lead up to banning handguns in the UK. And somebody said, well, you know, like, lawful gun owners make up 2% of, I think it's 2 or 4% of all firearms crime. Even if you get a 50% reduction, you're looking at a 2 or 1% reduction overall in crime. It would be much better to go after the 96% and even reduce that by just 10%. You're going to see a much better gain and a much better result in crime overall. And I think that's exactly right. It's the focus is in the wrong place, usually at legal gun owners.
Truth Junkie says you're talking about pre-crime. That sounds very much like Minority Report to me.
It is, yes. The Cullen inquiry. That's it. There is. I've got it somewhere. I've read through it, and it was.
No, Cullen is what you need to do to seagulls.
Not Mullen. No, I'm dyslexic. I got most of the letters right. All right. So give me a break. So we're going to get on something a little bit lighter now. Well, I say lighter. It's probably equally as depressing if you're here in the UK, which is the availability of 1522s and specifically 1522 magazines.
Rare as you like it.
So I'm going to show you a few different places. So this sort of just says it all straight away.
So the first one we're going to look at here is these are the importers for Smith & Wesson. Like, if they don't have something,
yeah,
no one does.
You type,
unless it's grey imports.
Unless it's grey imports, but you type in 1522 magazine into Sportsman, nothing. Like no magazines. They don't have any. Alex at Blue Field Sports, he tends to keep good stock of everything,
yeah.
Certainly like this.
He'll be one of the ones getting proper imported mags from Sportsman.
Yep. Well, it says there August, September. It's suspected.
I would guess that's Sportsman's availability as well. Then.
Yes, but we're soon running out of September.
Well, at least he's giving you a date.
Yeah, but we're going to run out of September very soon.
It's taking pre-orders though.
Yeah. Lantac, they usually have good stock of them. They are out of stock. East Midlands Regional Range, incoming, expected soon. The only person that has recently had them, Northwest Custom Parts, he had a delivery, Wayne had a delivery of 50 magazines. Less than 12 hours on the site, they were gone.
Yeah.
We managed to get one of them. What?
Can't Magload just 3D print them?
Do you want to?
Should I go get it?
Yeah, go and get it.
Oh, okay.
Do you know where it is?
Rifle Mags, which specializes in sourcing magazines, out of stock. So yeah, there's a pretty big epidemic at the moment of 1522 magazines. Yes, Connors has magically disappeared. That's scary. Has he gone invisible? He's going to come bring down some goodies. So this is, whilst I think, like, certainly out in America, the 1522 is seen as a bit of a plinker gun, bit of a fun. Mini rifle, IPSC mini rifle is becoming a really big discipline across the world, certainly here in the UK. And the 1522 magazines are consumable parts. You cannot, they don't last forever. So if you can't get them, and we actually got to the point where I think we had 2.5 good magazines. Luckily, we managed to get a brand new
for
one.
a level 3 between two people.
Yes, and one of those is now broken. It's split, which is a standard failure with them.
Split at the bottom. That was a weird one.
It might have just hit a rock at a funny place.
It was weird though, wasn't it? Because it didn't look like it was damaged until you went to take the base off and you realised it was all kinds of dead.
It was very, very dead. But yeah, if you can't get the magazines, if your magazines have passed their usable life, you can't shoot. You know, or what you unfortunately experience is thinking that one of your magazines is good. It's not. You go into a competition and you have endless issues during the stage.
When you don't have that many magazines, you don't have the luxury of having match mags and training mags.
Unless your name's Ben Ducker.
Well, even he's running out.
Yes. So.
Oh yeah. So on the note of 3D printing magazines, so there is Magload's latest prototype. Well, it's not the latest prototype. The latest prototype will be with us in about a week. But we are working on a 1522 compatible magazine. It does other things, so you know you can use it with a clip-on adapter, so you don't have to have a better mag in your gun and all that kind of stuff.
It's actually more. So we're talking in terms of the context of 1522.
Yeah.
Whilst it's 1522 compatible, it is a more universal 2.2 magazine.
But obviously 100% compatible with 1522. But they're not going to be 3D printed, because if you wanted me to 3D print this and sell this, these would be 250 quid a mag.
I think some people would actually pay that at the moment.
If you want to pay 250 quid a mag, I will print you some. But no, these are being injection molded. They're actually, the plans are with our injection molders at the moment for looking at the tooling.
But
and stuff.
you've gone for if you hold it up that's the other side round. You've gone for screwed together, so you won't get that split failure that you get on.
You don't get the
them
split
currently.
failure. You can take it apart to clean and inspect.
Yeah, which you can't do at the moment very easily.
Yep.
And beefed up
Yep.
feed lips.
So we're still going plastic feed lips. I know a lot of people will whinge that they're not metal feed lips. Now, there are a lot of good guns out there with plastic feed lips that work very, 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 very well.
Yeah, so Chiappa, for example.
No, but but the reason why the 1522 ones fail is because they are so thin, and I think it's deliberate. They want you to wear out magazines.
Well,
it's like,
when they're 30, 40 quid a pop.
well, in the States they're like $20, aren't they? And I think, you know, it's a bit like buying an inkjet printer. You get the printer quite cheap, and then they make money on the magazines. So we've got plastic feed lips still, but these are much beefier. They're much closer to the thickness of a K22 magazine, which those feed lips just last forever.
Chris, DMK mags, would that be compatible? Well, that would be.
This would be compatible with the DMK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, like you've pretty much got it. So in some way or some form, it will be compatible with every 2.2 AR-based rifle in the UK that you can own for mini rifle.
Yeah.
And should be, it's inspired from the 1522 mags, but
It's actually
significantly different.
I wouldn't even say inspired by, like, it probably the initial models were.
Yeah.
But now it's completely scratch made. There's
only
like no original features on there. Like, it looks similar, but only because you have to have that cut out at the back for it to go into the gun.
Yes.
That's the only reason it looks similar.
And whilst we are on the subject of Magloads,
Shall I pop that there so people can?
I've always talked about having like a meetup, a get together. This isn't necessarily an English shooting themed thing, but if you do want to come down and hang out for the day, Magload is having an open day. So as I'm sure you've realised, we're in a new premises. And we want to celebrate being in the new premises, get people down, have a bit of a barbecue, have a few drinks, have a chat, and we will be throwing open the doors. You can go and find the event page on Facebook. So it's being held on Sunday, the 3rd of October, so just over a week away, between 10 and 5. And the address is on there if you want to come down and find us. So we will be providing barbecue, there will be drinks, and we're also getting a number of dealers down. So I believe David, who's in the chat, hi David, is going to be representing Caliber Innovations.
We're going to have Firing Solutions.
Yeah, Tim at Firing Solutions.
Potentially going to have Spartan Refinishing.
Yeah, I spoke to him about
definitely going to have Marmaduke Creations, which is some awesome handcrafted knives.
Yeah, if you want to see some of the best handmade knives in the country, Mark will be here.
How many rounds does it hold? More than I designed it for. No, the original one actually ended up holding 38 rounds because that was quite a bit longer. But this one holds 33. It is being sold as a 31 round magazine though, because in essence you put 31 rounds in it and your mag is always downloaded for reliability's sake. So.
But yeah, so the day will have a number of different vendors, different products. It won't just be about Magload, although it will be here. So if you want to come down, have a chat, meet face to face,
You can see this.
please do.
You can see this stuff in person if you want to come down.
Yeah, there'll be all the guns.
There will be certain things that I'll be happy to show people.
Zip.
There will be a lot of prototypes. We're going to have a clear up of a lot of stuff that I don't want people to see.
Yeah, there'll be Haribo as well. So it should be a really good day overall. So please do feel free to come down and join us for that. Please as well, I know it actually says in the event page no booking required. There isn't, but if you are going to come down, to give us an idea of how many burgers and hot dogs to go out and buy, please say that you're coming.
Yeah, the reason why it's up there is not for our ego's sake. We need to know how much food to buy. If we're providing the food for you, help us out, because otherwise you're going to get here and there'll be no food.
Yeah, we might have run out, but we're going to try. Worst case, we end up with too much food, and then we've got lunch and dinner.
Is it open bar? I don't think we can give out alcoholic drinks, can we, legally?
Not without the right license.
Yeah, we can't do.
No, I thought you only needed the license to sell. If it's free,
It would come down to commercial property laws, etc.
we'll research that. There will at least be Pepsi Max.
There will be plenty of soft drinks.
Yes, and we're looking into the legalities of giving out alcohol.
There will be a steel challenge. Are we confirming that?
We're gonna
If
try
you
and
guys
set
are
it up.
happy with it, then yeah.
Yeah. So there will be a steel challenge down here. So yeah.
Happy.
Are we doing a prize for the winner of the steel challenge?
We're gonna our goal is to have a number of activities where you can win a prize.
Okay.
Whether that's like fastest one to build a loader, we could have some.
Oh, that'd be a really good way to get some loaders built.
Yeah, thank you. Yep, good. You haven't won.
They wouldn't pass QC.
No.
They wouldn't, because our QC is. Drum mag for the 1522. No, because they're not IPSC legal.
No, and that's a development nightmare. Black Dog have pretty much nailed it.
Daniel, guess I'm working the barbecue. No, we already got that covered.
My mum is.
You can be the hostess with the mostess. We can get you a little penny.
We have plenty of very manly aprons.
No, Dan, just bring a tutu.
Can you bring the chickens? We promise we won't barbecue them. Promise.
Not all of them.
We won't barbecue.
But yeah, Daniel, if you want to be part of the catering, you'll have to liaise with Paul's mum. I'm sure she could. She will greatly value the help.
UK shooting plug at the open. I mean, I suppose we could have like a little poster up,
Maybe we should have a live feed of Discord on the TV.
No way.
Yeah, that's just dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes, if you want to exhibit the UK shooting Discord, then feel free. But yeah, everyone is welcome to come down. ETA on the mags, no.
I will not give ETAs because this is not something that can be rushed. Sorry. We give 100% function guarantee with all of our kit, which is more than you get with the genuine Smith & Wesson mag. I'm not committing to anything. All I can say is it is absolute top priority, no expense spared at this point. So, yeah, we're working on it. I'm working on it.
It's like trust me, nobody wants those mags to be out and ready and being used more than us.
We have 2 mags. We have 3 mags as of today.
So
Between 3 of us.
The main reason we're doing it isn't for you guys. It's for us. Like, we need mags for competitions. So
as with most stuff that I make, it's mainly for me. He then convinces me to sell it.
Well, how much stuff have we got in boxes out the back?
That's fine.
That is ready to sell.
I've got my stuff. I'm using it. I
every
need to sell
week.
it.
Every week, it's like
We were packing up the containers to move.
Have you thought about doing this as a product? And Connor's, what you mean like this? Why the fuck is that in your drawer? Oh yeah, I've got 50 of them. So you mean we could be selling them? Oh, I don't want to do that.
It's just that as we were packing up the containers, I was going through Connor's shelves, putting them into boxes, and I'm like, that's a product, that can go in that box. That's another product, that can go in that box. It's just stuff that's ready to be sold, but hiding it.
Neil from Rack and Load has joined. Massive thanks for the Magload goodies. So
you're welcome.
For those of you, I knew you were getting really, really close, Neil. Have you hit the 50,000 yet?
I'll check.
Paul's on it, our research assistant.
The Discord link is up there, so if you want to join everyone and chat about all things gun related and not gun related.
Not yet. 49.8k.
49.8. So, although YouTube is always a little bit behind, but Neil on Rack and Load is about to hit 50,000 subscribers, which is massive for a UK shooting channel, and he's doing a big giveaway of various stuff. Magload has sent up a load of goodies.
I think he's got plenty of people sending him goodies, so it should be a nice big juicy giveaway there.
I did specifically put a number of stickers in there, Neil, so if you want to keep a few for yourself, then please feel free.
Yep.
The Connors, the face sticker is a favourite of people's.
Yes,
for sure.
People saying, hope we do another open day, guys. We are open all the time. You don't have to wait for an open day to come down and see us. I mean, we will probably do. I mean, I think if this is good, if a lot of people turn up, then we'll do another one. If we have
like a mini show.
Yeah, you know.
Well, that's part of the reason of getting the other dealers down, is that it's not just coming and looking at the Magload stuff. You'll be able to.
It's not going to be quite like a show because none of the dealers will be selling any control parts.
Yeah.
They'll just be selling like accessories.
They will have them on display.
They have them on display,
so you can get hands on. You can potentially put a pre-order in, or I mean that's why.
Oh, Firing Solutions. Even when he's at his stand here, if you want something, he will just drive around the corner to his shop and pick it up for you.
Yeah, he said he was actually tempted to sort of cycle down, and it is like all downhill for him.
Yeah, it's going back. That's the problem.
Yes.
Once he's picked up all his stuff.
But yeah, so we want it to just be an awesome little hangout, awesome get together. So 3rd of October, the Sunday, come on down. You're all more than welcome. And as Connor said as well, if you want to come and pick something up in person, if you want to get hands on with any Magload gear,
be a really good opportunity to try belt sizes and that sort of thing. I think that's
not just for the open day, but at any time,
whenever you want. I mean, that's one of the beauties of having a permanently open premises now, where you can freely come and go.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that people say when we go to matches, oh, thank God you're here, can we try on some belts? It's like, yeah, come on down here, try on some belts, pick out the size you need, hang around and chat for a bit if you just want to find out what the right gear is for you and all that. Anyway.
Well, there's always the conversation of which size loaders and stuff like that, and because we have all the different size loaders here, you can see them, get hands on. Sorry?
No, we don't.
No, we do.
Not built.
We do.
We've got Element at least.
We've got a load of 12s and 28s. We've got 20s. There's 8s. We've got pretty much every single size.
We are currently being absolutely rinsed on pro stock, so there's not a lot of display pro around. But we, of course, all have our personal rigs, which gives you 12s, 28s, 24s, 8s.
What's your setup?
I think
24 and a 12, and a green V-loader.
A green V-loader.
Have both R8s gone missing now?
I think they have.
Because you took my one, and then they both disappeared off the face of the earth.
They're probably in the several clear boxes behind us. Do you want to talk about the Chiappa? I think a couple of people have mentioned the Chiappa. Chiappa. Will parking be an issue? No.
No, I will need to go and ask them if we can use that car park.
It shouldn't be a problem, but
it's Sunday.
There is a huge
massive car
estate.
Park.
Like you could probably, I think it's like 50 cars. In this estate, very few people are open during the weekend, so there's easily parking for like 20 cars on our actual estate. But there's like an overflow car park that we will go and ask someone very nicely if we can use. There's parking all around this estate. Like even if you have to park down another road and walk up. I mean, you've got the IBM car park.
Yeah, when you won't be able to get into it at the weekend.
You will, because there's a gym.
No, you will.
Gym.
It's open all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So worst case, you park behind
huge.
us. Yes. You park behind us and walk through the cut through.
To be fair, if you're using Waze, that's where it's going to take you anyway.
Yes.
We'll probably need a sign in there and a sign at the end of this road.
Yeah, if you're coming down and you want to get to the front entrance, use Google Maps.
Yes. Well,
Waze doesn't have the access road.
Magload's on Google Maps. Callum stupidly put the phone down on Google when they phoned. I was expecting that phone call. It's like, no, thank you, we don't want... No, please take me off your calling list.
No, I didn't do that. I couldn't understand what you were saying. Okay. It was a bad line. It was
have your domestic later.
It was before we had internet.
No, we have our domestic now on the stream where we usually do.
Hug?
Yeah, all right.
So the Chiappa. So we do have it there. We have
Oh,
it.
we lost a dislike. Someone converted one of their dislikes into a like. Let's see if we can get the
It was
dislike.
Paul. It was Paul.
Oh, was it Paul?
Don't forget to like.
No.
If we get 100 likes
Oh
on
no,
the
it was
stream,
me. Yeah.
Connors will cut off a lock of his beard
Nah.
And sell it
and auction
to
it.
the highest bidder.
Yeah, it might be a 3-hour drive, but there's food.
There's food. There's drinks. There's
The
toilets.
food is free.
There's us.
That's not, no, that'll put people off. The food is free.
You've said that, but I guess it's not sinking in, right?
And the food,
food
is
is free.
free.
Free food.
Lots of meat.
Lots of meat. We will have veggie options.
Yeah, lamb.
No, it's just the bun.
Here's a
there
carrot.
You go. It's just bun it's a cheese bun. There you go. There's your veggie option.
What,
Yeah,
what's their
heathen.
lacto free?
Lacto free.
Yeah.
Well, then they're just going to starve.
They can have a bun.
Well, they can just have a bun. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no cheese bun.
They can have ketchup on the bun.
They can have. I'm just trying to think what we've got.
There is quite a. I think they just
We've
freshly
got
cut the grass
ketchup.
out the back. So
They can have some vape juice. There we go.
Ew.
Suckle on.
Will there be brownies?
Dan, can you make some brownies?
What sort? Actually, if we want to get some dessert, if you want some Welsh cakes and some brownies, Dan is your man.
Yeah, he is.
I've not sampled your
I
cooking
think
yet,
it'd be
Dan.
unfair
So
to ask for him to cater for an open day, though.
I'm sure he'd love it.
I'd like some brownies.
Should we answer some of the questions in the thing? So must have mods for a 13-1 Comp Pro? Not a lot. Get the port done, or do the port yourself.
We've got a button.
No, not for the Pro.
No.
The Pro doesn't need it.
You can save a lot of weight out front with a carbon fibre tube from us.
Yeah, the
the
tube
clamps.
that comes on it, despite being a Tony tube, is not like the Tony tubes you can buy off of their website.
Mm-hmm.
It is heavy.
Yeah, it's been made to a price, and it's a stonking tube. Right, it's going to be indestructible, but then unless you shoot our tube, you're not.
Just
gonna
happened
break
once.
It. Yeah,
That was quite a funny conversation to have for the
it's
customer.
your tube failed, and it's like, no, you shot our tube. We go, yeah, it failed. It's but to be fair, and this isn't to say you go out and shoot your tubes. We did on that occasion make an exception and replace that under warranty. But what had happened is he had lent it on an aperture.
Hard.
It bent
It was
the
a
tube up,
long tube as well.
and he blew the end off of it. So.
Yeah.
We never properly talked about the Chiappa.
Yeah, because people keep asking about it. So this is so for people who don't know, this is a Chiappa Rhino. Virtually the same gun you can get everywhere else in the world, except we have a 12-inch barrel hidden by a fake suppressor and a rod sticking out the back to make it comply with our 24-inch overall length requirement.
Yeah, and our 12-inch minimum barrel requirement.
This is in 9mm, so it can only be used with moon clips. Which is quite cool, and it has a prototype grip on it, which is also pretty cool.
Which is very cool.
Which is coming soon.
Very cool. It's in production.
Oh yeah, it actually is. So it is
in
coming.
production.
Should we put it up for pre-order?
I don't know.
If you're interested, we'll just see. Should we put that grip up for pre-order?
One person was very interested.
Yeah, that was right at the beginning of the stream. I don't know if they've hung around for it.
Or they've fallen asleep.
I don't know, because the Chiappa owners group seem pretty hot on it. I don't really want to put it up for pre-order until we can take photos of it, and by the time we can take photos of it, it'll be ready to sell because they'll be here.
But yeah, I'm probably the last thing to cover is the US. So we were due to head out to Kentucky with American shooting trips, and we were going to do a massive tour. It was going to be absolutely amazing, but as I'm sure many of you know, keeping a tab on what's going on with the COVID restrictions, whilst they are relaxing things from the 1st of November, that's the latest as far as I'm aware.
It's too late for this year's
It's
trip,
too late.
yeah.
So the October trip has unfortunately been cancelled, but we are rebooking everything for April. So we will now be going out for our mammoth tour around the US back in April next year. It's just giving us more time to make it even better. Every time we've delayed it, we've thought about more things to do, more places, people to see. So hopefully it will be worth we're hoping it's worth the bloody 2-year wait now it's getting onto. So yeah,
through no fault of David's.
No, this is absolutely nothing to do with American shooting trips. David has actually been quite the opposite. He's tried absolutely everything, waited until the very last minute to see if things changed. And yeah, it's just the way it is, unfortunately. Fingers crossed by April, COVID will be very much in our rearview mirror, and we'll be able to go and enjoy it.
People still asking about Chiappa.
People
Can
still.
I answer the question?
Yeah, go for it.
So can you have a 357? Absolutely yes. So I was actually lucky enough to be one of the first people in the country to get my hands on one when they came in, and the video that's out there of me shooting it is with the 357, and boy does it,
It's cool.
is it fun.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of fire.
There's some,
coming out of
some
that.
really
Very
nice
fun, yeah.
photos of flames all in your
Well,
face.
Raytrade used the photo of me as the marketing material
Yeah.
for the gun. They
Why
even
wouldn't you?
And they even shared my one with the one that I took
The medal.
after I came back.
The
Yeah,
medal one,
yeah.
yeah.
What's the difference between the new Rhino and the current one? Now, I don't know if the UK is getting the new Rhino. However, the new Rhino has independently adjustable trigger pull weight and trigger return weight, because it's got 2 springs in it rather than 1. That's probably quite a technical thing to go into here, but really no huge difference unless you're going to start tinkering with the gun. Otherwise, they function virtually identically. Yeah, does it take Glock mags? No, but I can understand why you might ask. The grip is actually modelled or inspired by a 2011 grip. I tried making it like a 2011 grip, but it just didn't work with the shape of the gun. This is actually quite nice, despite being a bit slimmer.
It is very nice.
Yeah, and I actually had a conversation today with Tim from Firing Solutions, who is a extremely good revolver shooter, and we talked about why don't people put modern style grips on revolvers? Well, because everyone's used to sort of the rounded back of a revolver grip, and the reason why you have a rounded back on a revolver is when you pull the trigger, it rotates in your hand. It's to take out some of the recoil.
But also I think you tend to get, whilst more and more people do both, certainly in the UK, because we grab at everything that we can shoot, but you do tend to get revolver shooters or pistol shooters. So you learn one and that's it. It's it's like Jerry Michalak. He's a revolver specialist, still pretty awesome with a pistol, but revolver is where he really, well, where he's godlike. And there is going to be some sort of difference. So actually having a revolver that feels very much like a pistol allows you to in some way cross-train between the platforms.
The grip is not the same at the end of the day. You're shooting a 6 o'clock barreled revolver. You need to keep your thumb out the way of the thing.
Absolutely.
Is the 44 mag a myth?
It's the presentation though, as well.
Presentation, yeah.
You with that grip and the 2011 style angle, you can bring it up to your sights, and it's in the same position
Bang on.
as it would be with a 2011 or a Glock or something like that.
A 44 mag, it's not necessarily a myth because the gun exists in like normal form.
They said very early on when they first released this gun that it would come. There were various posts that said it would come in 44.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, it's not there. It's not available anymore.
No. So Raytrade have made no announcements of it coming in, just that they will bring it in at some point. I would not hold your breath for one.
No.
Not at this point.
And anyway, for like competition for speed stills, it's the 9mm. That's what we really want.
Got one. The 9mm's good if you want to shoot minor. If you want to shoot major,
yeah.
if you want to shoot major, what I'd love to see would be a 45 auto. Big, chubby rounds that are really short, so they just drop straight into the cylinder.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Aaron N, will you visit Iraq Veteran 8888 while I'm out there? I would love to. I'd love to go.
Well, they've
see,
got a shop, haven't they? So we could actually just go to the shop. Yeah.
And they are in the south, aren't they?
They're in Georgia.
Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we should be able to arrange that. I'd love to meet up with Donut Operator, Demolition Ranch, even Colo One Noir in Texas, because we are going to be going around in Texas. So yeah, I'd love to. But remember that these are channels with multi-million subscribers. I'm sure
we are nothing but flies on their windscreen.
And they're going to be in huge demand. You think about how many people want to meet up with them.
You're nothing but a fly on the windscreen. I'm a fucking internet legend.
You're a god.
But yes, there is one last thing I'd like to tick off before we leave. We haven't done an onlyguns.co.uk update. So there have been some very interesting posts in, and I've been told that OnlyGuns, this is a genuine site, onlyguns.co.uk. It has been updated to something fresh and new.
It is usually has the most finely curated of memes from the Discord on it.
And I did check earlier, and the Discord had 23 stars for the whole. So my greatest achievement so far.
Ladies and germs, I suggest you turn your volume up.
Can you play it with sound?
Is it playing the sound? Yes. What not to do during a competition?
So I would like to point out that this gent is by no means the first person to have received this treatment. He is currently the third person to have received this treatment.
He is number 3.
He's the third, because 3 is the magic number. I'd also
yeah.
like to draw your attention to his trigger finger as he goes down.
Yes, yeah. But he gets back up, and that's the next thing, you know. When you get knocked down,
Well,
you
the
get back
thing is, you
up.
could be engaging targets on the way. He clearly wasn't. He was flying through space and time.
In the ruling, he could be aiming at the target.
Yeah.
He could just be getting a more advantageous position.
Well, it says with barrel aligned to targets, doesn't it? Doesn't say aiming.
Well,
yeah,
aiming is defined as aligning your
Yeah.
barrel with the target.
Yeah.
So
How awkward does that rifle look? Yes.
it looks flawless.
Absolutely flawless.
Anyway, I've still got it playing here in the background. That's great.
Yeah, Dan, holding it alone does not save you from a DQ. Right, if your finger is in the trigger as you're falling down.
Well, most ROs would just.
You know what? I
call
would have.
stop.
I just would. Yeah, I would have called stop anyway because
Yeah.
dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not the finger's in the. Well, would I? No, actually, I've let people fall over before.
It depends. It
Because
depends on the.
that wasn't necessarily a dangerous situation.
He didn't hit the ground in a way that it looked like it could have hurt him.
I think if I was there right at that point in time, I probably wouldn't have called stop. But looking back on it, I probably would have done him for fingering the trigger whilst changing position.
Yeah.
Well, when you say changing position,
The rule is changing position.
Yeah.
but if
Going from standing to sitting is
if
a
you are
change
aiming at a target
on the way down.
on the way
Yeah.
down, and your muzzle
Yes.
is in line with all the
But
targets.
the rule says a finger visibly outside the trigger guard whilst changing positions.
But also, if you are changing position, but whilst engaging targets. So Ben had this argument at the level 3 at Lambradich, which was if I think it was, well, you remember the long stage, it was targets either side, changing from there to there with your finger in the trigger. And what he said is that he wasn't changing position and he was engaging targets throughout.
Thing is, you could argue that both ways. I think if it went to arbitration, it would not be a DQ.
It would not be a DQ.
It would not be
So-
a DQ.
Well, there again, you can't go to arbitration over a safety infraction.
No, you can't. Yep, very good point.
The highest it can go is to the range master.
Okay.
It goes
Right,
CRO and then range master.
We were, the last topic, well, one of the topics was this, it's based off of the Plymouth mass shooting. There's been a call, or there's going to be a national police survey that could pave the way for gun reform. I'm actually going to make that into we were going to talk about it tonight, but I'm going to make that into a separate video anyway.
God.
So these boys can get home. I'd spend the next hours talking to you guys, but these guys are less up for it. But yeah, anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up there.
I do have one thing to plug.
Oh, go on then.
Those of you that are interested in Action Air, Excite Practical Shooting Club are holding a level 1 in Booker in High Wycombe. The first weekend of December, I believe it's the 4th. It will be the Sunday is the main match.
Chuck a link into the chat so people can go, can look at it if they're interested.
Talk
It's live on Practice School.
Oh, it's XPSC. Just go on to Practice School and put in XPSC, but Paul is going to grab the link for you guys. I might have to actually approve it because you're not an admin and it doesn't like people putting links in the stream. Although apparently you can put links for like hot, sexy nudes in the stream and that doesn't get flagged for some reason.
Are there any?
We haven't had any this week.
We haven't had any this week.
Disappointing.
Yeah, what are we going to do after the stream now?
posted. That is the link to the Facebook event. So sign up through there. Links on Practice School.
How much are the Rhino grips going to be? I will have to wait until all the components are here to cost it, but I will say, I can pretty confidently say under £150, which is cheaper than 90% of what's out there.
Yeah.
It's definitely not going to be more than that.
But yeah, anyway, we're going to call it there because we need to go home. We need to get some sleep.
Speak for yourself, I'm fucking wired.
Woo!
Too much pep.
Too much pep, too much
Not enough
caffeine.
pep.
But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. I hope you've enjoyed this stream. Thanks to
Clearly
Connors
not
and
6
Paul.
people really didn't enjoy the stream.
Well, they can go fuck themselves. Make sure you hit the like button before you go. Make sure you subscribe if you want to watch any more streams, see any more videos. We do this every single Thursday.
This is
7:30
probably why you
UK
lose
time.
subscribers. You tell them to
I always do it at the end.
fuck you. You tell them to subscribe if they want to watch more videos, but no one wants to watch more videos.
But they do.
They're boring as all shit.
But they do. Some people love it. Anyway, thanks guys. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you next weekend. We'll see you next Thursday, and don't forget the meet here at Magload, the open day on the 3rd, on the following Sunday. But yeah, hope you have a great weekend, a great week to follow, and as always,
Hope to see you soon.
we hope to see you soon.